Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bread of Life. Very quickly, I want to speak to you about growing in righteous character with ease. You see, as we mature in our walk with the Lord Jesus Christ and in our commitment to living out the righteous character of Jesus Christ, there is the wisdom from the Lord on how we put off old habits. In the book of Hebrews chapter 12 from verse 1, it says, "Therefore we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside," very significant, let us, an act of intention, an act of will and intention. It says, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. You see, everything here speaks about an intentional act that has to come from your will and from your actions. He says, let us lay aside every weight. Let us lay aside the sin that not easily beset us, and let us run with endurance. So there is something about intention, something about personal action, something about practice. In the book of Romans chapter 6 from verse 12, it says this, "Let not sin reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lust thereof. Neither yield your members as instruments of unrighteousness unto sin, but yield yourselves to God." That's the secret. Okay, in Hebrew it tells us you have to lay this aside. But now in Romans chapter 6, it tells us how we do this. It says, do not let sin reign in your mortal body. Do not let it have dominion over your mortal body, that ye should obey it. So it is by obeying sin that sin does what? It gets the right to reign in a person's mortal body. Okay, it's by obeying sin. When a person is in obedience to sin, then it can reign in his mortal body. So it says, do not yield yourself. It means don't submit yourself. Okay, do not submit any member of your body as instruments of unrighteousness. But then it says, yield yourselves unto God as those that are alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God. Did you see that? For sin shall not have dominion over you, for you are not under the law, but under grace. So there's something, it's about submission. The mystery there is about submission. Who you submit yourself to becomes your master. Who you submit your body to reigns over you. Did you see that? So when he says lay aside every weight, here it tells us how. It means by an intentional act. You do what? You denounce, you reject that your body is not in submission to sin. And by an intentional act, you do what? You submit your body, the members of your body, every part of your body, every part of your thinking, your soul, spirit, body, you intentionally submit it under the authority of what? Of the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. Did you see that? So when you do this intentionally, then what? Then you are laying every weight of sin, and then you are intentionally yielding yourself and your members, the members of your being, everything that pertains to you, as instrument on righteousness. So it has to be intentional in your prayer, okay, in your time of fellowship, okay. You have to bring it in your words. You have to tell the Lord, I yield myself, I yield my members as instruments of righteousness, okay, in submission to the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, to be instruments of righteousness for the glory of the kingdom of the Lord Jesus Christ. And I denounce, I reject that my body will not be, I will reject that my body is not submitted to sin, will never be an instrument unto sin. Now when you do this intentionally, you yield yourself what? You yield your members as instrument of righteousness. You submit yourself intentional. Then what happens? Then you come under the grace of God, and you begin to do what? He begins to walk on the inside of you and begin to establish what? Strength and grace, okay, and fortitude and diligence, and the righteous characters of Jesus Christ will begin to do what? Begin to flourish on the inside of you, because you have brought yourself under the mighty hand of God, and he begins to do a work on the inside of you. This is as simple as it gets, and you do this as often and every single time, because why? You are always at the point where you are always making a new decision. Every point you are always making a new decision. There's always a situation where you must make a decision. In every sphere of life. You can do this in the next 10 minutes and you're faced with another decision-making moment. In that moment, you must make a decision. to yield yourself as members unto righteousness under the mighty hand of God. So bring this in your prayer life daily, consistently, as often as possible. Let it be your decision-making moments, that at every point in time you are yielding your members, your being, the fullness of all that pertains to you, under what? Under the mighty hand of the Lord Jesus Christ, to be instruments of righteousness, and you're denouncing everything that is not of the Lord Jesus Christ, rejecting that your members and every part of you is not an instrument for unrighteousness. With this, you would always come in submission to the mighty hand and the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, and he would flourish and make you grow in the righteous characters of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is the bread of life to you. Through this, in practice of this, you will see that you're growing in leaps and bounds in righteousness, and you are shedding off every weight of sin that ensnares a person. And so you can run your race with endurance and finish the work that the Lord Jesus has entrusted into you. This is a bread of life to you. There are many other teachings in the Bread of Life series that will bless your heart. I encourage you, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ministries of Abel Praise, and there are many other teachings in the Bread of Life series that will bless your heart. It's always a great honor to bring you the bread of life.